So when I voted Republican for the first time in 2020, right? Let me tell you, it's probably one of the most liberating feelings I've ever had, right? And let me explain why. Because when you're talking to a black person, right? A black person is told, that we have to vote Democrat. Okay, that our skin color is somewhat of a disability. That the reason why we can't succeed in life is because of our skin color. That because of white supremacy, because of racism, oppression, right? Everything, right? Some type of ism for reason why as a black person you can't succeed, and that the only way to actually get to where you need to go, you need help from the government, the Democrats, right? Because the Democrats are the party of the poor, right? The party of the people that need help. And think about that mentality, right? The fact that you say Democrats are for the poor and Republicans are for the rich, and the reason why a lot of us vote Republicans, the Democrats, because of that. So right there, you're telling yourself that you're voting Democrat because you have a poor person's mentality, right? You expect yourself to be poor, so in order to get to where you need to go, you need the Democrats to assist you. So right off the bat, you already have this poor person's mentality, and what makes it worse is this, that when you hit a certain level of adversity, the normal progression should be like, all right, how to find a way to get through that. But once you hit that adversity, you're like, you know what? See, this is why I can't get to where I need to go, right? Because of racism, suppression, white supremacy, all types of nonsense. So I need the government, the Democrats, to do something for me. So it's easy to create that enemy. The Republicans are the reason why you're holding you back, that you're being held back, and that's tough for a lot of people. And you're probably thinking like, damn, like it's like, damn, like voting Republican for the first time is so liberating. It's like, you got to understand, like that's like such a mental block for a lot of black people. This is why you see, so like 90%, of black people voting Democrat. Right? Why they have such a hold on the Democratic Party. Of course, now you see a lot of black people shifting away towards the Democratic Party, especially in particular the men, because now they're starting to really see that the Democratic Party is not what they thought it was supposed to be. All right, they still got the women at 90%, but you see a lot of men veering off and going to independent Republican route. So let's break down some of the reasons why Democrat Party is just I'll never vote Democrat. Well, so let me answer the question. Would I ever vote Democrat? Hell no. Like, as constituted, there's just no way. There's no way I could ever go back to voting Democrat. And some of the reasons why very quickly is like, look at it, anti-family, anti-men, anti-God, anti-life, just everything, man. They're just anti-everything. There's no way I could go back to supporting that, right? And just to give a quick little breakdown. So, all right, so let's go with some of the reasons, right? For black people, right? One of the biggest things that plagues the black community, right, is not money, it's not education, okay? It's children being raised in fatherless homes, right? You hear a lot of black people talk about, building generational wealth. Like, how are you supposed to build generational wealth when the family's not even intact? You have no father there, right? You're more like you're building generational poverty, right? Because you got people, passing down welfare to generations. Like, how are you supposed to generate generational wealth if you're always relying on the government? You're stuck in the welfare system. Okay, and then you're passing down welfare to your children. There's no way you're going to be building generational wealth if you don't have the family intact. If children are being raised in these single parent households, and you see the consequences of that, right? You see kids 12, 13, 14 years old committing crime. You see the women out here, the girls out there, sexualizing themselves. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it's obvious, and that's one reason. Another reason is that Democrats don't believe in accountability. All right? They're more so about creating victims. All right? That's why you see a lot of people have this victimhood mentality. It's almost like anybody on the left, it's almost like who can be the biggest victim, right? They like to take the minority groups and make them victims, whether you're black, whether you're a illegal immigrant, whether you're gay, whether you're transgender, right? They take these minorities that seem to be oppressed and they make them out to be the victims. And the thing about victims is that when you're a victim, you'll never solve a problem because, like, if in order to solve a problem, you have to be you first have to be own that problem, right? You have to be accountable for that problem. If it's always someone else's fault, then you'll never solve that problem. And Democrats are very good at making people victims instead of actually the people being accountable for their problems and saying, all right, I'm going to own my problem and try to solve it instead of having to rely on government, relying on the Democrats. Democrats are very good at that, creating victims, right? And saying being a victim is okay. Instead of someone actually saying, you know what, I'm going to be accountable for the things that I do and I'm going to own my problem and try to solve it my way. Okay. Another thing is that they love to steal people's money through taxes, right? They love taxing. They love to tax people and then claim that, oh my gosh, rich people aren't paying their fair share, as if we have a revenue problem. Like, United States doesn't generate enough revenue through taxes, right? It's not. We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem, and that's the thing about the Democrats. They'll say, all right, we need to spend money on this program to help minorities or an oppressed group, right? And then when it doesn't work out, what they'll say is, oh, we need more money, all right? That's why it didn't work, because we need more money. You're not giving us enough money. When in reality is the program just is garbage. It doesn't work, right? Spending money doesn't solve problems. People have to take ownership of their problems. Let the people solve their problems. You as a government is just supposed to be protecting the rights of the people. All right, making sure you're looking over their interests. We don't need your help. Protect our rights and let the people solve their problems. This is what these Democrats like to do. They like to put their hands into everything. Make sure they have big government, so they create all these programs. So you're always dependent on them. When in reality, like, they don't do anything right. The more you rely on the government, the more things just don't work. The more people struggle, the more poverty you have, and that's obvious. Okay. And another thing is obviously more government. They believe in the more government. They believe in that, the more government you have, the better things are. But we all know that's just not true. Okay. And these are just some of the reasons why, obviously I could never vote Democrat again, because especially when you open your eyes to the Democrat Party, see what they're really about, you start to learn that, like, what they do is just, it's unsustainable. It doesn't work. And what's going to be an interesting thing is to see, like, especially during midterms next year, if Democrat, because usually, like, obviously whoever's in power, they, during midterms, that party in power, it turns over. But if somehow the Republicans can find a way to keep power when it comes to the Senate and the House, it's over for the Democrat Party, man. I just don't see. It's gonna be a while before they ever get back into power, because that tells you that the American people are tired of they're just tired of the Democrat Party and their policies, and they're tired of the fact that their policies just don't work. It's even so bad that you see where the Democrat Party is. They're going so far left. You got Elizabeth Warren supporting the socialists, Aram Mandami, right, in New York City mayoral run. This is where they go. They go where the votes are. They're like, oh, this is what the people want. All right, let's just go further left. And this is why Democrats just don't work. They have no morals. They have no principles. They just go for the votes, right? They just try to find ways to stay in power, and instead of actually doing something that's actually good for the country and the American people, right? They'll sell themselves to the lowest bidder. They don't care, right? And this is what. And this is why their policies just don't work. And voting Democrat, I can never see myself going back there, because their policies just don't work. I don't agree with any of their policies. I think their policies are bad for a country, and they just don't have any morals. So I think you see a lot of people, I think, are going that way as well. So those are my thoughts. Interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Hit the like button, share it. If you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe. So guys, take care. Have a good one. Later.